What is up, guys? It's the Sound Alchemist, and I'd like to welcome you back to another epic Grim Dark Battles. If you guys aren't aware of this, basically what I do is I pick two combatants in the Warhammer 40K universe and pit them against one another in a who would win matchup, taking in lore, your votes, and even the tabletop into consideration. So in this matchup, we have none other than the newest High Lord of Terra, the Abess of the Sisters of Battle, Morvenn Vahl. And her opponent is probably the strongest combatant in the Imperium, the Ultramarines Primarch, Roboute, Gilliman. This matchup is going to be quite the interesting one, but I do have to give out this little disclaimer that she's going up against a Primarch, so her chances of coming out on top are slim to none, because at the end of the day, a freaking Primarch is going to wipe the floor with any other non-Primarch combatant. But Morvenn Vahl's saving grace is how good she is on the tabletop. The thing is, can Gilliman keep up with this overpowered model? We'll have to wait and see. But again, like I said, this is all being taken into account, the lore, your vote, and the tabletop. So who knows? Maybe Morvenn Vahl, the underdog, will come out on top. You guys have to keep on watching to find out. But anyway, let's continue on with this grim dark battle. In this battle of Supreme Commanders, we have Morvenn Vahl, who had recently been promoted to the rank of Abbess Sanctorum, all thanks to the Ecclesiarch's vote. The Ecclesiarchy were hoping of using her as a pawn to push their agendas and overall solidify their control on the Imperium, but they soon found out that she was quite formidable, both on and off the battlefield, all thanks to her faith and zealous attitude. She's often seen fightings in the front lines, wearing her Purgator Mirabilis Paragon warsuit, a warsuit that grants her an insane amount of durability and survivability. Basically what this means that on the tabletop she has a 4-up invuln save, and every time that she would lose a wound, she has a 4-up feel no pain. On top of this, she also has the Holy Aegis, a power very, very great, granted to her by none other than the Emperor himself. For each time an attack is allocated to this model, you have the damage characteristic rounding up. Her main means of ranged combat is her Paragon Missile Launcher, which has two types, the Sanctorum Missile and the Prioris Missile. They are both range 36, while the Sanctorum Missile is a heavy 2d6, strength 4, no AP, dealing 1 damage, while the Prioris is a heavy 2, strength 8, minus 2 AP, and dealing that big d6 damage. She also has her Fidelis, which is a 36 range, heavy 3, strength 6, minus 1 AP, 2 damage bolter. Now if you think she's the most devastating at range, you might be in for a surprise, because she has the relic, the Lance of Illumination. This relic has two types of attacks, a sweeping blow that basically doubles the amount of attacks you can do. Normally she can dish out 5 attacks, but with this sweeping blow, she's dealing out 10. Of course, it's a ranged weapon, so the type and range is melee. Strength is that of the user, AP minus 2 and 1 damage. So at strength 5, minus 2 AP, 1 damage, this can take out a horde of Griblies, but against her opponent, she might want to use her second type of blow, and that is the Lunging Strike. For this is a strength plus 3, AP minus 3, dealing 3 damage. And the cherry on top is that each unmodified wound roll of 6, the enemy target suffers an additional mortal wound. So potentially, if you roll all 6 with this, that 3 damage will be going to 4. And since we've kind of overlooked her stats, let's take a look at it again. Her movement is 8 inches, weapon skill and ballistic skill is a 2-up, strength 5, toughness 5, 8 wounds, 5 attacks, 9 leadership, and a 2-up save. Again, she does have that 4-up invuln save. She ignores mortal wounds on a 4. She halves damage whenever she takes it. And the crazy thing that we must not forget about Morvenn Vahl is that once per game, if her enemy has not fallen to her, she can attack again. So this could be big. Attacking again may be the key to taking out the Primarch Gilliman, but will it be enough? Place your bets and let's find out. But before that, we do have to cover Gilliman's feats, war gear, and stat line. So let's take a look at this Ultramarine Primarch. On the tabletop, Gilliman is 19 power or a whopping 380 points. He's got an 8-inch movement, weapon skill, and ballistic skill of 2 up, strength and toughness of 6, 9 wounds, 6 attack, leadership 10, and he's got that 2 up save with a 3 up invuln. When it comes to his special rules, he's got that Armor of Fate, for if he dies, you roll a d6, and he potentially can come back on a roll of 4 up with d6 wounds remaining. So again, if it seems like Morvenn Vahl is getting the upper hand, fear not, for he might be able to come back for another round of combat. He is the Master of Battle in the 13th Primarch, which gives him an aura to reroll hit rolls of 1 and wounds of 1. So that could be big in him landing all his attacks, landing all his wounds. So it'd be up to Morvenn Vahl to see if her half damage and her invulns can save her. For his weapons, you have the Hand of Dominion, which is a dual type weapon. You can hit in melee with a strength ×2, AP -3, 4 damage, and that means the strength is 12. Or you could shoot at range for a 24-inch range, rapid fire 3, strength 6, -1 AP, 2 damage. But of course, we can't forget that he is wielding the Sword of the Emperor, which is a strength +2, -4 A3, 3 damage. But the wound roll of a 6 up deals D3 mortal wounds on top of the normal damage. So this weapon might be the one to overwhelm Morvenn Vahl. Because we can't forget about Gilliman's feats. He fought against a slew of opponents during the Great Crusade. He has been pretty much the Emperor's right-hand man when it comes to tactics and just being a model Primarch and having a very disciplined yet tactical force of Ultramarines. His tactics may be second to none. He led the Second Imperium. This man has been fighting for his whole life. He fought against Angron. He almost fell to the poison blade of Fulgrim. However, he was put in stasis, and with the help of the Eldar and Yvraine, he is back fighting for the Imperium. And just after that, just after his revival, he ended up going toe-to-toe with Magnus the Red, who one might say might be the strongest psyker in all of the galaxy, especially since he has been given apotheosis and is a demon prince of chaos. So again, Gilliman has gone toe-to-toe with the best of them. He's been alive for thousands of years. Basically, everything Morvenn Vahl has done, Gilliman has done 100 times over. So let's take a look at how these two dish out on the tabletop before we get into the mock battle. So let's dive right in.
Are you certain this is what you desire, High Abess?
Yes. I must get stronger, so don't hold back.
Very well. Make the first move.
Vahl unleashes a barrage of Sanctorum missiles at the Primarch as the battleground gets shrouded in dust and debris. She circles to her left, inching closer to him. All the while, a hail of bolter rounds roars out of her Fidelis bolter. She doesn't hear the impact against his armor, and before she can react, a crushing blow from Gilliman's power fist sends her flying. She quickly fires out more shots, but once again, she misses. The Hand of Dominion fires but a single shot, and she quickly shoots at that location. Once again, Gilliman's gauntlet lands a crushing blow.
Anticipate your enemy's movements,
Gilliman tells her. Switching tactics, Vahl takes out her illumination lance and begins to utter a prayer to the Emperor.
We serve the Emperor with our faith and devotion, and with faith, there must also sometimes come sacrifice.
The dust finally settles around the two combatants. Vahl charges forwards and sends a barrage of attacks with her lance, but Gilliman effortlessly dodges them. She pushes her warsuit to its limit, each blow speeding up and getting closer and closer to its mark, until the Hand of Dominion catches her spear. Vahl then quickly reacts and unleashes her Prioress missiles point blank. The explosion sends dust and debris all around them once again. A shiver runs down her spine as a blaze of warp flame cuts through the dust, the burning blade stopping mere inches away from her face.
That's all for today,
Gilliman says. Vahl lets out a sigh of relief as she thinks to herself.
Damn. I've still got a long way to go.
The winner of this grimdark battle is Gilliman. So there's no surprise here that the Primarch of the Ultramarines comes out on top. Lore-wise, this guy's got plot armor so thick that nothing can take him down. He is currently the only loyalist Primarch around, and he's just leagues above Morvenn Vahl. Yes, she's strong, yes, she's tactical, her suit gives her a huge bonus, but when you're looking at experience and overall power, almost nobody can compare to Gilliman. And of course, you guys thought the exact same thing. For Gilliman won the poll that I set for you guys. 85% of the vote went for Gilliman, while 15% went to Morvenn Vahl. It was one-sided, which I knew it was going to be, but I didn't think that many people would have voted for Vahl, seeing as how she's such a new character. You guys actually gave her a little bit more oomph than I thought you would. Now, when it comes to the tabletop, this is where things get spicy. For this portion of the grimdark battle, it is a 1v1, 2 characters on a 12 by 12 plain square, I guess you could say. There's no terrain, no command points, no warlord traits. It's pretty much the characters' special rules and war gear going up against one another. Now, of course, Gilliman seems to be the better combatant if you're looking at just points/power level, but we shouldn't rule out Vahl at all. She comes in at about 265 if I'm correct, and she got some pretty awesome abilities that allow her to deal damage, ignore mortal wounds, she can attack twice, she takes half damage, so we'll see how this goes. So place your bets, and let's get into this portion of the grimdark battles. The first round begins with Vahl winning the roll-off, and she goes first. She fires off her Fidelis, but Roboute brushes it off, no damage taken. Yet. She then shoots her Prioress missiles, 2 hits, 2 wounds, and 1 goes through. She rolls that d6 damage and it lands on a 4. She then rolls to charge and just barely makes it into combat. That would have been huge, because if Gilliman was able to get that first attack, that might have been it. Anyway, Vahl then hits with her Illuminarium lance, and she decides to go with the lunging strike. Lucky for her, they all wound. Now Gilliman may go down if he can't save them, and to make matters worse, one of them is a 6, and that means that he suffers an additional mortal wound. A horrible roll leaves the Primarch with only a single wound remaining, but now it's his turn to hit back. Gilliman decides to use all of his attacks with the Hand of Dominion, favoring the double strength and strength for damage, then trying to deal mortal wounds by rolling 6s with the Sword of the Emperor. Let's see if that was a good choice. So when he rolls to hit, they all hit. When he rolls to wound, they all wound. Now Vahl has to make her invulnerable save here. And she's only got a 4 up, and she rolls, and she can only save 2, meaning that 4 go through, and if you know math, 4 times 4 is 16 damage. However, we have to remember that she takes half damage, so she takes 8. But unfortunately, 8 is exactly what's needed to bring her down. Now she does fall, however, she has a special rule that she may blow up on a roll of 6 and it deals 1 mortal wound to Gilliman. Gilliman only has 1 wound remaining, so can she bring Gilliman down with her? No, unfortunately not. The roll is a 4, and with that, round 1 goes to Roboute Gilliman by the skin of his teeth. Round 2 starts, and Val once again wins the roll-off. She decides to go first and unloads her Sanctorum missiles. This one favors quantity over quality, 8 shots fired, but only 1 wounds, and Gilliman managed to save it. Now the Fidelis is fired, 2 wounds go through, which Gilliman also saves as well. This time, Val makes her charge with no problem, and close combat begins. Seeing as how the Sanctorum missiles did practically nothing, she once again decides to go for the lunging strike. Dealing more damage is better than more weaker attacks. So 5 hit, but only 3 wound, and no 6s this round. Gilliman's 3-up invuln save comes in clutch and no damage is taken. He has saved tons of shots this round. Now it's the Primarch's turn to fight, and this time he decides to bust out the Emperor's sword. 6 hits, 3 wounds, but the cherry on top is, even though he missed a bunch of 1s, half of them went through, but all of them were 6s, and with the Emperor's sword, 6s deal an additional D3 mortal wounds. Now he rolls and he gets a total of 8 mortal wounds additional. Now Val does have a special rule that allows her to ignore mortal wounds on a 4-up, which she rolls and she ignores too. She now has to make her invuln saves for the regular damage from this attack, and again, it's a 4-up, so it's a 50-50 chance. She rolls, and unfortunately she rolls all 3, so all of the damage goes through, and it's just too much even when she's taken half damage, and Val falls to Gilliman. This time it doesn't even matter if she blows up. And we have our winner. 2 out of 3 times, back to back. Your winner is the Primarch of the Ultramarines, Roboute Gilliman. So this match I thought was going to be a lot closer. It didn't matter really that she had the ability to take half damage. Gilliman was just doing too much damage too quickly, and she couldn't really protect herself that well. Gilliman is just a beast, whether he's hitting at double strength for 4 damage with the fist, or he got really lucky, rolling 3 6s with the sword, and he almost got a perfect amount of mortal wounds. I think he rolled like a 5, a 5, and a 4, so he got 8 mortal wounds off. And the thing I feel that really brings Morvenn Vahl more to a more realistic level is that her invuln saves and her ignore wounds, her feel no pain essentially, it's only a 4-up, so she is ignoring mortal wounds on a 4-up, and she's saving most of her wounds half the time. But against a Primarch, this is just too much. Maybe if she survived the first round of combat and her other half of attacks would go, or I guess not other half, but her second volley of attacks, and she is able to fight twice, then Gilliman would have for sure lost that round in the beginning. However, just because you kill Gilliman once doesn't mean it's over. He can resurrect in a 4-up. It's only 50-50, but again, you never know. He could come back, and then by that point, Val will just fall again to him. It is a game of dice, it's a game of chance, but at least in these 2 bouts, Gilliman came out on top. And with winning the popular vote, With winning in the lore and winning on the tabletop, the unanimous winner of this grimdark battles is Gilliman. So thank you guys for watching. Let me know all your comments down below. Let me know if you think Morvenn Vahl is actually worth it on the tabletop. Maybe Gilliman was just a bad matchup for her. And let me know what other characters you want to see in grimdark battles. I do have a playlist for this. There are tons of battles in there. Gaskell against Farsight, Dante against Abaddon the Despoiler, Drago against Trajan Valorous. So check it out. There's a ton of awesome fights in there. And thank you guys for watching. If you guys made it all the way to the end, let me know in the comments too, because I know this is a longer one and most people probably won't make it. But if you did, congrats. As always, this is the Sound Alchemist, part of One Mind Syndicate, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.